producer price index took the gloves off of inflation today and just went after us and just absolutely clobbered all of our favorite positions today. On Bitcoin, it went under 70,000 right now. Bitcoin at the time of this recording is struggling to get back into that $70,000 range. We are currently slightly below the 5-day moving average. I do kind of expect it to, at some point soon, come in contact with the 15-day moving average, which I do think we could potentially launch off of and move up from. So we were down right now 4% on Bitcoin today as a result of this. In total, we did a swing of, hold on, let me get my ruler. We did a swing of 7% in total today, so that's pretty intense. So let's take a look at some of our favorite miners. Let's look at the stock market overall and some of the bigger players in the stock market real quick today. It's just going to be a real quick overview to go over what happened today, kind of a little recap. It was just so dramatic. I felt like a second video was warranted today. So Mara is down 7.5%. That's pretty big. We went down to as low as 1750, which, did we fill this gap? Did we fill this gap? We filled that gap. Oh yeah, I knew that was coming in. We filled the gap. All right. It took PPI to do it. Now, there are some promising things on this chart. Before PPI came in, you can see right here, these volume bars at the bottom of the chart here, they were decreasing while price was falling, which is usually an indication of a reversal, much like you saw back here from March 4th until March 7th. Price was falling, but so was the volume. And then on the 8th, we saw a big up day after that. That's what I was kind of expecting today. If PPI came in good, we probably would have launched up into the $23, $24 range today, but PPI came in and just absolutely clobbered us. So that kind of destroyed all hopes of that, at least in the short term. We are currently oversold on the daily. Are we on the weekly yet? Not quite. We're a little past the 50 retracement on the 50, so or on the weekly, so we might go a little further down as a result. We might have our weekly candle look quite ugly again, but that's okay. We are waiting for this to start turning around. Today we did have an increase in the selling volume, but again, that was all driven by PPI, which should wash out in a few days, especially. So the market got shaken up because inflation going up. We also had unemployment numbers came in unexpected, better than expected, which was bad for us because we want unemployment to rise so that the Fed will feel like there's less wage inflation and less need to control inflation. I know it sucks wishing people would have less work. It's pretty terrible, but that's how the Fed's functioning in terms of trying to get inflation down right now. CleanSpark also down 7.5% about. We came right to the 15 and never looked back after we went up from it. What are we looking at on these? So we are kind of trapped right now between the 50 and the 15, and then we got the 5-day moving average in here as well. We are in a Bollinger Band squeeze currently, and I'll show you something about that on the SPY here in just a moment and how that played out today. That was pretty exciting. Let's see, what are we looking like on the weekly? The weekly, let me turn this off. Get rid of that. I know I have a lot of drawings on here. The weekly is looking not great, not terrible. If we could get a bit of a rise tomorrow, that would really, really help our candle in terms of making it look good. Make that wick on the bottom a little longer. That would make me very, very bullish and happy. We are not oversold on the daily yet either on CleanSpark. We are still, we're just a few points away from being on the bullish side of the RSI here. So that'd be pretty exciting if we were to get an up day. I'm very, very optimistic considering that even with these horrible PPI numbers, CleanSpark did not get below that $15 mark. Let's take a look at Bitfarms. I think that held up the best today. Bitfarms down 6%, so 1% better than CleanSpark and Mara so far. We went down as low as 226. We are in oversold territory ever so slightly on that. selling volume was decreasing before we had this day, so I think we might be flat for a bit and potentially try to get back up above that 250 range. And if we fail to do that, obviously $2 is coming in for us there. Bit Digital, how was Bit Digital today? We're also in oversold territory. We closed beneath the megaphone trend line. That is super scary. If we don't get back up in above this green line here at which would be a mark at what, $2.15. If we don't get back above that tomorrow, I am pretty concerned about the short-term movement of Bit Digital in terms of like the next weeks and or up to a month of potentially seeing some pretty scary moves in this. I can see as low as a $1.95 out of this move right now if we don't get back above that green descending line there on the megaphone. If it is a break of the megaphone and it actually proves to be that, this is going to go way lower, and that's pretty scary. We might even get past this support here at $2 and break down to the next support, which will be at $1, like $1.50, a whole 50 cents on Bit Digital. That'd be a huge, huge move for a $2 stock and a pretty intense hit on my portfolio personally. Let's look at Riot. Riot is on the menu now. It is in a pretty aggressive downturn, and it has been for a little while. We came right up to $10. I honestly bought some calls off of this right here, this $10 move. When it right away in the morning, it got to 10 and started showing a wick on the bottom. I bought some leap calls on Riot. Now, this is not a suggestion to buy, sell, or hold any assets whatsoever, and definitely not financial advice in any way. But what I saw on the chart was decreasing volume, dramatically decreasing volume from when we started selling up here. I saw a bounce off of a trend line I had drawn as well that coincided that had confluence with my little demand zone box here. So I think maybe we could wick down to $10 potentially, but I don't think we're going to stay down here for very long with Riot. I feel like Riot's a bit of a sleeping giant, and I am going to make a video completely dedicated to Riot here very soon, talking about it and its its graces for now. But I definitely see this kind of flattening out, maybe forming some sort of cup. And if we get lucky, maybe a handle and we launch, that would be pretty sweet. That'd be pretty exciting, kind of like back here where we had this from January 12th to January 26th, where we had that cup and then we formed a candle and launched. Maybe we'll just see a repeat of that. But I do want to see price kind of even out here just above the 10, maybe even get above $11 a little bit and hold there for a few days and then start curling up to this $13 mark before potentially coming back down to this $12 mark, forming that handle, and then kind of launching from there. That's what I am hoping happens. Either that or just full on V-shaped recovery. Wouldn't that be amazing? Shoot us right back up to $18. My calls will be singing. That'd be fantastic. Let's see. Let's look at IREN real quick. IREN went down to $5. It's in the lower half of this descending channel now, so I'm feeling like it's probably going to come and fill this gap down here to 414 very soon before going back up. This is going to act a bit like a magnet, kind of just pulling it down to 414. Probably, honestly, probably $4. It'll probably just tap $4, maybe $3.99, and then start curling back up again, I think. But we do need to get out of this descending channel before I feel anything bullish about this anymore. And I'm actually going to delete this ascending channel because that one's gone now. That's not happening. We went past it way too far. So it's got to get above this descending channel before I feel any kind of way about it in terms of it going up. All right, so let's do some stuff. Let's look at the overall market today, right now. We don't usually do that, but today was a big day. So if you watch the SPY here, since January 5th, we've been in just this absolute hair we went from 466 to 518 in just a couple of months. Like, that is nuts. I mean, this was a pretty intense day, but in perspective, we are up massively in just what, 3 months. So there's where it started. We went up 11% on an index in just a couple of months. Like, that's insane. I know we're used to moving 15, 20% in a day since we're in crypto and crypto miners, but on an index, that's absolutely huge. Today was a 1% move. Also, PPI couldn't keep us down. Look at this wicked tail on the bottom of this I don't see this staying down here long with this big wick on the very bottom here. I do see us coming back to that 517, maybe even going to 520 before we start encountering any big resistance. I think PPI initially was a shock to the system, and then Wall Street just went, we don't care, keep buying at the end of the day. And I'll show you where that came into play here. So let's see here. Where was it at? All right, so where was it at? There was something on SPY I wanted to mention from today's move that I was in. Oh yes, the squeeze. So there was this. I actually did a really good job on this today. I was very proud. There's this little squeeze right here. These plus signs that are seeing, and that started happening at. This is the 1 minute chart, by the way. That started happening at 12:25 power hour, right? And it went until 12:33. And then right after the squeeze, there was one more little flush down to the bottom of the Bollinger Band, right? It was like pushing that Bollinger Band down. If you look on a larger time frame, that was actually outside of the Bollinger Band. Yep, right here, right here. This big long wick, it went way outside of the 15-minute Bollinger Band. So I saw that in conjunction with a squeeze there, and I said, this thing, once it gets outside of this little channel here, uh, it's going to go up, right? And it's going to go up in a big way. And you can see it did do that. I was following it. I started following it on the 1, and then I got on the 5, and I was like, okay, it's going to go up at least to the 15, maybe the 50. It went way beyond that, but that was the goal on there, and that's how powerful that squeeze was. You can also see it back here too. There was a squeeze on the 5 minute from 10:35 this morning until 11 a.m. this morning. And then again, it went like 1, 2 candles past that where it didn't do it much, and then it just dropped dramatically. These squeezes, they don't always produce a big old move, but when they do, it is powerful. Like if you find it in confluence with some other indicators, like here, this squeeze was coming on, and then we came to the top of the Bollinger Band, and then we just dropped. Um, Super dramatically. Same thing when I was on the 1 minute at the bottom, right? We had that squeeze. We came all the way to the bottom of the Bollinger Band. We went outside of it on the 15, and then we just launched. If I look on the 15, I wonder if it went outside of the Bollinger Band there. No, it never went outside of it on the top. What about on some other, let's see on the 5? No, it just came up, kissed it, boom, dropped. What about back here? Yeah, same thing back here, right? It came in, and this one didn't even wait. Just the first candle just absolutely dropped to the bottom of the Bollinger. So these squeezes, they don't always result in these huge dramatic moves, but when they do, like, wow, they are dramatic. One other thing I wanted to look at today was NVIDIA. NVIDIA is actually trading below the 5-day moving average for once. I know it did it back here, but it's doing it again. It had trouble getting over it, which is interesting. And this little wick on top, I mean, this is a doji candle. Make no mistake, that's a doji candle. It is indecision. It doesn't know where it's going to go. Just like back here, this little ugly doji followed by another little ugly doji, and then it launched. Or back here when it had a doji, and then the next day it gapped up. Crazy. But the dojis, that they kind of indicate that you can't really tell exactly where it's going to go. So in this case, I would want to see NVIDIA, and I don't know if anybody's trading it. I haven't been trading it because it's burned me a few times. It's a wild stock. In this case, honestly, this blue candle, if we get to a point where we're trading above or below this blue candle, I feel like that's going to be the mark of a breakdown or a continued rally up. Though I am leaning towards an eventual breakdown. Now, that doesn't mean go out and short this thing. Definitely don't do that. I've definitely been burned doing that. I want to see this get below that to indicate that we're probably going to go below the 15-day moving average for a day or two. And now remember, we've seen it do that once before, and then it launched up afterwards. So I'd want to see it be down here for 1, 2, maybe 3 days um, before saying, okay, now it's going to go to the 50, which even if it did that, it would only go down to like $700. Like that's, okay, it's like a 30% drop from where it is, and that would be a normal correction. If we remember, like a normal correction is anywhere between like 10 to 20 some odd percent, and that wouldn't even be a 30% drop from where we currently are. Like let me see where we currently are. Right here, we're currently right here. To the 50 is the 20% drop. So that would be an average correction if we were to go down to the 50 on NVIDIA right now. Now, that of course, that is not saying that's going to happen. It's not saying that's going to happen. Price has to get below the 15-day moving average, stay there for 2 days, and then I'd say maybe it's going to come and look at the 50-day moving average. And if it gets above the 920 mark again, I would say that we're probably going to take out this high at 975 and make a run for 1,000 once more. So that's kind of just an overview. Oh yeah, Tesla. One more thing, Tesla. Look at this thing. I don't know how many of these ones you guys are following. Tesla is suffering. It's barely hanging on to this thread of a support here at 160, and if it fails that, I mean, we could go. We're going to definitely go to 150 if it fails that, and if that fails, this gap fill down to 145 and like even maybe 100. That's insane. How it's just dropping so dramatically on Tesla. It's getting to some very juicy prices, if I do say so myself. This was a pretty wicked bear flag here in late January, leading us to where we currently are heading down to. We're at 162.47 right now on the daily. I mean, we're at the very bottom of the Bollinger Band here at 162.47. The 5-day moving average is all the way up at $73. The 15 is all the way up at 186, and it just can't seem to find support. We are with a bullish RSI divergence this time. You can see back here on January 25th, we were at a price of 182.30, and we had an RSI down at 6. Today we're at 162.47 and an RSI of 18. So it's nearly triple the RSI in terms of being up higher. And if we break, now let me see, if we are capable of breaking this descending trend line, marking the downward trend that we've been in since that high, if we can take that out and break it, we will be making a run for 250 again. So keep that in mind for Tesla. Now, of course, that does not mean go out and buy calls on this stock at all. Of course, this is not financial advice, nor a suggestion to buy, sell, or hold any assets whatsoever. I am simply saying that there is an RSI divergence present in the Tesla chart, and if price action is capable of getting to and breaking above this descending trend line, and this one looks like that would be anywhere from 183.82 to, in the next week or so, 174.79, getting above it and taking off from there. 200 and above is back in the cards on Tesla when it is capable of doing that, and it will have the liquidity and the momentum to do it once it does. Now, I would be very cautious though, because the last 3 days in a row, you can see here at the bottom of the chart here, the last 3 days in a row, we have been falling on growing volume. That is an indication that we still have room to fall. So I am probably suspecting that we come into 150, maybe even 145 before we make that turnaround on Tesla. So keep that in mind. Unlike with the miners, if we go back to the miners, unlike with the miners where the volume is decreasing, Tesla is falling on increasing volume, which means that the momentum is still building. So definitely wait. And of course, not financial advice or a suggestion to buy, sell, or hold any assets, but waiting is a good decision when you see increasing volume on the while it's falling, increasing selling volume. We still have, as you can see, we can go to an RSI of 6, easy. And that would probably be something we'd see if we got all the way down to 140, 145. Let me look at, I wanted to see Clean Spark again for the volume. Volume's flat. What about RIOT? Did I mention the volume? Volume is decreasing. Yes, I mentioned that. What about BTBT? Did I talk about the volume? Volume's flat. Bitfarms volume is also flat. So that's all I've got for you today. That's the update, including some stocks that aren't crypto related that you might have some interest in. Let me know if you want to hear more about that or not. I'm happy to do technical analysis on all kinds of stocks if you're happy to hear it. If not, also let me know that in the comments if that's not what you're here to listen to. So with that said, please like, comment, and subscribe, and have a profitable day.